Alrighty then. I am Coach Steve Money, Ramsey Solutions Certified Financial Coach, and this is answering your financial questions. My financial content. Sorry about that. Verifying that we have audio, and we do. Financial content can be found right below the Oak Island playlist. That's Ramsey Show After Show. And this stream here, answering your financial questions. Normally, answering your financial questions is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, sometimes 4 p.m. Eastern Time, but mostly 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And just I was busy trying to get out a Secret of Skinwalker Ranch video. So that did not happen today, but I still wanted to stream. So here we are with a late one. Also, the music playlist includes, in addition to my favorite band from the 90s, an indie band called Thrillcat. My favorite song in the world is World, still to this day. And another song live performed by them in the 1990s in Virginia Beach, Virginia. But beyond those two, then there are 12 or 13, something like that, Ramsey adjacent songs in them, including me reacting to John Deloney's reaction to the John Deloney song. So enjoy those if you are so inclined. And let's go back. Nope. There we are. There we are. And we get questions from the Reddit, the Dave Ramsey subreddit, and that would be on reddit.com/r/Dave Ramsey. Alternatively, on Facebook, the Ramsey Baby Steps community, and that is the only forum like that, platform like that, run by Ramsey Solutions other than their website. Let's see, gotta drag that over. Robert G, what up? Just dropping by to say what's up. Hope all is well, man. It is going really well. Just have been too busy to do much streaming recently, and I hope that's going to change. And I'll try to get some more in there, but I can't complain. But sometimes I still do. That would be an Eagles song. Life's been good to me so far. So let's keep going with the questions. Just from Renaissance Man 12608, big savings drawdown last year. Okay, I don't know what they mean by drawdown. That means he just had to spend savings, I guess. Let's see. 2025 was the year everything broke, from 2 cars breaking down, constant and a horrific vet bill. And thank God I had savings I could draw from to pay for everything. Okay. That being said, my savings took a hell of a beating. Around this time of year, there's lots of banks. This was 2 months ago, so that would be right close to Christmas. Lots of banks and credit unions offering bonuses, 200 direct deposits for 3 months, get you X reward. Yep, and I figure I can do 3 of them to get $1,000 to pay back my savings pretty easily, should be the word instead of easy. Considering I had to borrow $5,000 from my house down payment fund, is it worth the doing? I guess. Unless it's like something putting it into a CD, which Mr. Ramsey would not recommend. High yield savings account is fine though. I know it's not exactly a Dave Ramsey question, but do you think the juice is worth the squeeze? I mean, that's up to you. If you're just gonna have it in savings anyway, like I said, don't do a CD with it. Just put it in a high yield savings account. If it's not a high yield savings account, maybe you don't want to bother. But that would be my thoughts on that. If it's not too much trouble to do, some people do all kinds of put themselves through all kinds of hoops in order to just get a little bit of, reward money, that kind of thing. So it would just depends on exactly what you're putting it into. Credit union offering bonuses for $200 direct deposits for 3 months. Okay, so you'd have to set up the direct deposit with them. It's not just you doing it manually yourself. You'd have to set up a direct deposit from your company, and then you probably have a direct deposit going elsewhere as well. So again, that would just depends on how much trouble it is to you. If it's worth $1,000 for 3, and you want to do 3 of them, so that's 9 times, and that's how much. That's how many days Ferris had missed before he used his computer to change it to 2 days. Dell cost 4078 diversification question. Hi everyone. Hi guys. Just wanting to get some thoughts on my portfolio and diversification. I'm 41, married with kids. I have a little over $1 million in investments. Excellent. With about $250K in Roth IRA, about $350K in 401K. The rest is about $450K, which is a single stock, Apple, and that's a no single stocks, even Apple. I worked for Apple for a long time. This has been a great investment for us, and yeah, sure, it's gone up a lot. Yeah. Still, the advice is no single stocks. Get mutual funds with Apple in it. As good as Apple has been, I'm wondering if it makes sense to sell some to buy an ETF/mutual fund. My concern is that we have a lot of eggs in one basket. Thanks in advance. Right. So you do want to diversify. And Mr. Ramsey advises for retirement that you split the total up 4 ways equally into small cap, mid cap, large cap, and international. Uh-oh. Let's see. No, we're good. Okay. Thought my camera moved on me. It did not. But yeah, it would be those 4. Small cap, mid cap, large cap, and international. And you want to get managed mutual funds that beat the index of those specific categories. And enough that it beats the index after you subtract the higher, which is normally going to be higher in a managed fund, a higher expense ratio. So altogether, that's a lot more money than your freaking index, which people just want to be lazy and do that, or they think they'll screw it up, and so they just do the index fund. Index fund better than nothing. But the advice again for retirement is going to be those managed funds. From Mr. Ramsey. Now he does use an SP 500 index fund for saving for purchases. Like that's where he puts all his money for real estate into an S&P 500 index fund. And that of course is in a brokerage account, and that way he can draw it out whenever he wants to. Let's see. Hunter 8333 home buying advice, looking to stop renting and purchase a house, as $1,200 a month rent as a chokehold on my wife, 25, and I, 26 man. Reasons for wanting to buy a house: freedom of not having to pay rent for our pets, 2 dogs, privacy of not being. This is with the ladies and gentlemen. This is your section of the question called justification station. They're trying to justify buying a house. And you don't have to do that. You can just do it yourself without having to justify it. You can just go ahead and do it and skip the question. But I appreciate the questions because it's content for me. Privacy on not being in an apartment townhome, and will put myself closer to the offices of the company I work for. Currently live 1.5 hours away. I would have never done that to begin with. And commute twice a week. Only twice a week? Then what do you do the rest of the time? Work from home? Then that's not that big a deal, I guess. Let's see. Current debt is all student loans around. Okay, so we're done right there. You don't have to type any more bull crap. We're done right there. You do not buy a house if you have any non-mortgage debt. You have to have steps 2 and 3 done before you even start saving the down payment. So you're doing it wrong if you're already started saving a down payment. You're doing it wrong. There's more. Let's check it out. Student loans around 90K split between Sally Mae. I know, dumb. Yeah, all of it's dumb. Not just the Sally Mae part, but the federal loans. Dumb. Went to school for aviation and got my commercial certificates that I wanted. No degree, though. However, I am working in an adjacent field to what I went to school for and would not be making the approximately 66K a year salary that I do had I not gone to school. Okay, you don't need to retroactively justify it either. It was dumb as crap. It's not the Ramsey advice, and neither is buying a house if you still owe on student loans. You're doing it wrong. Wife is a bartender and income fluctuates a bit depending on the season, #season. But her expenses, car loan, see, that's going to be a no as well. So that's a no. You got to get all your dumbass debt taken care of first before you get a mortgage on a house. All covered. It doesn't matter if your loans are covered by your job. You cannot have them and get a house too, per the Ramsey advice. I'm currently snowballing the federal loans when I can. No. It's not when you can. It's always. You do it. That means you're not doing other dumb crap. You're not spending the money elsewhere. That's how you get stuff paid off. Process of saving for a down payment. You know you don't do that. You're doing it wrong. You're an idiot. Why don't you understand? You haven't dove into the Ramsey advice enough to know that, maybe, I guess. Or a lot of people, they just ignore the parts of the Ramsey advice that they don't like. That happens as well. Anyway, down payment on a house of approximately 7.5. All of that should go directly to the non-mortgage debt that you have. Step 2. That's step 2. You do not do crap with money other than expenses, essential expenses, and paying off the debt. That's all you do with money. You do not do that. We want our mortgage payment with PMI and property taxes and all the goody fun stuff to be below our current rent payment of $1,250. That's great, but you're still not ready. It doesn't matter if it's less than your current rent. That does not matter at all. Looking at a house under 200K and or mobile/manufactured home under 100K. No, none of it. No, and again, no. While buying a house would be more debt, which is contradictory to the Ramsey methods. Oh, you think? Well, then why are you asking? Is this a bad route to go down? Yes. You know how you can tell it's bad if it's contradictory to the Ramsey methods. That means it's bad, you idiot. We'd like to start a family soon. Tough crap. I mean, you can do that in a rental house. They allow babies to be in rental houses or in rental apartments. They allow that. So quit being stupid. And my personal goal is to not get stuck renting forever. I don't care. You screwed up by doing it wrong, by taking out the loans in the first place. Fine. We all did stupid stuff like that. But hey, I paid them off before I tried to do anything else with money. You know, once I got smart. And so the idea is for you to get smart now and quit being dumb despite your personal goals. Make your personal goals and make your finances better instead of to not get stuck renting forever. Renting is fine while you get your finances in shape, my friend. And I feel like for me, people need to quit feeling things as far as money habits are concerned. I feel as though having children while renting is just going to put us in a perpetual state of renting forever. Hey, man, that's your fault. Again, all of it's your fault. when all disposable income will be then going to a child and not a house. No, that's not how it's going to work. It's not how it's going to work. You're so dumb. If you make your finances better and you wait until your debt is paid off, then all of a sudden there's plenty of money to go to a child, and it's not all disposable income. You're so dumb. Edit, I do have around 20K in a 401K. You don't take that out to buy a house. You don't take that out to pay debt. You don't take that out at all. That I could use for, no, see, you're trying to be so smart. You think you're being so smart, but you're just dumb. You're a dumbass. However, is this another no taking money back out of 401K? Yes. Not this early into the growth, but before retirement is too early. You're doing it wrong. You're thinking about everything wrong. Here we go. Even though it's penalty free, yep, you would not be taking out. You can take out the contributions penalty free, but that is not the advice. You earmark that for retirement. Let that still be retirement. You stop putting money in there though while you're taking care of steps 2 and 3, and also you can even stop, not invest for an additional 2 years while you save up a larger down payment. But before down payment happens, you first need to complete steps 2 and 3, which is the non-mortgage debt and the full emergency fund. You do need a full emergency fund before you even start to save for a down payment, because guess what? When you have a house, stuff goes wrong with it, and you have to pay to fix it. So it bugs me knowing a couple grand pulled out now is tens of thousands that I'm taking away from my wife and I from retirement. What bugs me is that you're a dumbass doing all this dumbass stuff, but this is what every freaking financial bro advises, and this is what every dumb person with money does. Okay, and again, I can say that because I used to be that dumbass, but I've gotten smarter, and I would advise that as well. So quit doing your justification language with the $1,200 a month rent is a chokehold. No, it's not. Your debt is, which was your dumbass decision to get into. So that is the problem. Fix that first, and then from a better financial position, buy the house later. Probably not going to wait. But then again, if you're not going to wait, if you're not going to take people's advice, especially the man that has millions of documented success stories following his advice, if you're not going to do that, why even write the question in here? You just want somebody to agree with you that your dumb crap isn't dumb, but it is really dumb, I assure you. Ange on Mars. Did I read this one already? They switch places sometimes. Hesitating to buy a car. 34 man, baby step 4, with a net worth of $80,600 that we managed to accumulate in the last 2 years, starting from scratch. Great, no house. Currently renting a condo at 700. We live in the EU, the bloody EU. So, oh hey, look. This person is still renting and seems to be fine. Family provider, wife 34, is a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids. Income is $100,000 a year. I don't think it's dollars if they're in the EU. What is that? Euros, right? As an IT contractor, great. However, we're struggling to make the decision whether we buy a car or not. You don't need one. Let's see, the cars you use. See, why were you looking for a car? If there's nothing wrong with your current cars, why do you want to buy one? People are so nutty, especially car guys. They are so nutty. If you have a vehicle that can reliably get you to and from work and to the store to buy things for your babies, then that's all you need. My wife is okay with that, but on my side, I prioritize the race to 100K invested, and I think we can wait like 6 months to accumulate more money. Okay. On the other side, our car is, that means on the other hand, I don't know, maybe it's a different saying in the bloody EU. On the other side, our car is not really reliable, but goes from A to B daily. How is that not reliable? That's the definition of reliable. You being nutty. You're trying to justify, justify dumb crap. My question: should we buy the car now or wait a little bit to pass the 100K net worth? Yeah, see, and you setting some arbitrary thing like that, like we want to have this net worth before we buy a car. Don't do that. Don't buy a car if you don't need one yet. You idiot. People are so dumb. We usually take rentals for long vacation trips. Yeah, I do that too. But now that I've upgraded in car after my transmission died, and yes, $3,500 for it only, 2016 Grand Caravan. Now, and I would trust that to do a road trip. Of course, I'm only going from Ohio into the state up north to see my daughter. But before, again, I would rent a car to do that because I didn't want to drive that far away. But as far as getting me to work and to the store, my 2005 Suzuki Verona was fine. It had a lot of issues, but I just lived without air conditioning in the summer. And just drove it into the ground. And when it was in the ground, sold it for scrap, and again bought the new to me vehicle, and upgraded by 11 model years in doing so, and very pleased with that. And people act like you can't find a $3,500 car anymore that's any good, and you're full of crap. All right. But yeah, you don't need, I didn't have a transmission, so my choices were to fix the transmission or to get a different car. See, that's when you need one. If my car was still going from A to B, I would not have bought another one. People are nutty. People start looking at cars even when they don't need one. I don't know, they get antsy or something like that. They just, or they're so into cars they think they need one. Hipster Doofus. I did do this one before, I think. I definitely saw that name because that's that's some kind of, I think it was on the Seinfeld show itself, but it was or maybe Curb, something like that. No, I think it was on Seinfeld itself where it described when they were doing the show within the show, and it described the character of Kramer as a hipster doofus. But finding a good used car, yeah, I did do this one, yeah, and I basically told all that same story. And yes, you can do it and find a very cheap one too. It doesn't have to be $5,000. Doesn't have to be $10,000. Quit capping. People are capping all the time to justify their stupid crap. Don't do it. Agitated Kiwi. I can't remember if I did this one or not. Received inheritance from mother's death and torn. Nothing's fine. I'm torn on giving money to struggling father. You have the inheritance. If you know for sure she didn't want you to do that, maybe you do it, but you are the owner of that money now. And so you get to do whatever you want to do. So you make up your mind about that. Let's see if it gives like any, I mean, if he's a bad person, maybe you don't do it. Oh, I'll be using my portion. If you received over $500,000 inheritance from your deceased mother's side of the family, I'll be using my portion. Your portion is all of that $500,000. That's your portion of it. To go from baby step 2 to baby step 4. And I would hope that $500,000 would take you further than that. Parents divorced when we were younger. Dad always struggled financially, but it never gets better. Right. So if you give him money, he's not going to do any better. He's never been a high income person. Not your fault. Has been stuck in a mode of undervaluing his work, and his pay always, yeah. So never pursued adult education. Yeah, he could have tried to make himself better, and he didn't do it. After a second divorce, all right, let's see what else. He moved to an expensive beach resort, dude. and works at a local restaurant. He cashed out his 401k in sort of a semi-retirement. See, that was dumb too. So if you give him the money, he's just going to do dumb stuff with that as well. He says he didn't want the 401k anyway because he was tired of looking at it go up and down. That's so stupid as well. He doesn't sound like he's very bright. I'm so sorry. I know he took out a HELOC as well. Guess what? If you look at that, that just goes down. That never goes up like your 401k does. You idiot. He's an idiot. I don't think he deserves the money. His HOA, none of this is your problem. He is an adult. He's older than you. He should have his life together better than you do. But some old people just can't do that. Simply put, he can't afford his lifestyle even though it's been his dream to live at the beach. I don't care. You are not entitled to live at the beach. His desires don't match the reality of his situation. Yeah, but he's in so deep, I don't think he sees a way out. Even if he could, he has to try anyway, and he's not doing it. Not one bit. I know he's depressed. Sure. If you want to buy him some counseling, that's fine. Because he's alone and broke in his old age, working 6-7 days a week, but he's too stubborn and prideful to admit this and to make better changes in his life. What would Dave do? On one hand, I know if all of my siblings pitched in, we could kick him some money that he desperately needs, or he could quit being dumb with money, and he could quit spending money as well. To whatever lifestyle he has, he could cut that lifestyle down. Think throwing good inheritance money at his problems is not wise either. No, it's not, because that's giving a drunk a drink. He likely has a lot of debt. Yeah, that will quickly be absorbed by those funds, and he'll be stuck in an unsustainable position. Exactly. And then he'll want more money. A quick mother passed away 3 years ago, but never knew this inheritance was coming to her. Okay. We were all surprised, obviously, when we learned about it a month ago, for whatever that's worth. That's got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Not one bit whatsoever. You're trying to bring things into it. You're overthinking it, is the word I was looking for. Edit 2, I couldn't possibly reply to everyone, but thank you for your thoughts and feedback. Seems like the general feeling is that my dad's poor choices shouldn't inform how the inheritance is used. Right, should focus on myself, my family first. Need to remember to put my own oxygen mask on first, or I'll end up in my father's position one day. Right, you must put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. All that is correct. And I'm surprised that it seems the consensus of the answers were all that. So cool. Have too many pets. Sell the horse. Quick bar 2387. Need some advice. Context. Father-in-law passed away last year. Second battle with cancer got him. I mean, it's a miracle when you get through the first battle. 100% for sure. He was divorced. Mother-in-law took half of the equity in the house, and about 20 years ago. She got her settlement through a cash out refinance. Yep. There is about $325K left on the note during COVID. See, this is where, all right, well, let's see what else. But I mean, this is where none of this is your problem. You just don't get to have the house if you have some kind of misconception that you'll be getting that house. You can afford to be getting that house. During COVID, he had financial issues with his business. That's a shame as well. Found out that their family business in 40 years was in big trouble. About $150K to $200K in debt. Yeah, that's not how you run business. That's another Ramsey rule. You do not run business on debt. No, 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 and no. He's the no debt guy and the no debt leverage guy. And the business wasn't supporting the payroll. Yep. Bad business manager. Maybe he shouldn't have had a business. My wife and her 2 brothers are on the payroll, so it's a family business. That's tough crap. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean the business gets saved just because of that. Quit being stupid. Father-in-law tried many years to build back the business to its former glory days, but it's one of those businesses where the customer base literally dies off. I got it. What would Dave do? What is this I have too many pets thing? Let's read more, I guess. Okay, let's write a War and Peace here. No, see, none of it matters for the question. If you have too many pets, stop having pets. If you want to keep the pets, you got to cut out something else, probably. So going back to COVID, I ended up paying off all their debt. That was dumb as crap. Built them an office so they would have their own place to do business. That was dumb as crap. My conditions were as the following. Don't go back into debt. I bet they didn't satisfy any of these, so you were stupid to do that. Leave the entire state to my wife upon his passing. I expected him to live another 20, 30 years. Well, he didn't. Yeah, he passed away. You can't say, I expect somebody to live another 20, 30 years and base your own finances on that. You're stupid too. Both of you are stupid. Sorry to, rest in peace regardless. And money doesn't matter now for him. The way all three of them grew up, my wife and her two brothers, they grew up in a line of entitlement, right? That doesn't matter. They don't get a pass for any of this stuff, and you don't get a pass for thinking things are going to go a certain way. You don't make decisions if on making your financial decisions based on, oh, this will have to go this exact way that I think it will for this to be a good decision. You don't make financial decisions like that. They have no skill beyond what they did in the family business. And honestly, to be honest, they only worked about worked an hour or so a day each. Yeah. See, this is dumb. This is not, you don't build a business by just faking a job and giving a full-time paycheck to people that work an hour a day. That was dumb of him, and if you knew about it, it was dumb of you too. So I gave them 1 year to rebuild the business. You should have stayed out of it completely. Well, 1 year has passed. Indeed, the business didn't grow. Of course it didn't. I found out that my father-in-law took out a $100K loan before his passing to help pay for unexpected expenses. It's all gone now. Yeah, it's over. You are a dumbass for getting involved. The business makes about $70K a year net. The three of them share the income. I know, sad. Yeah, that's not much. That's like $2,300 a year. I mean, $23,000 a year per person. I can no longer subsidize them. You should have never done it to begin with. That was your problem. And see, now they might expect it. I had to put it into it yesterday. Great. Should have never started it. Should have put it into it a long time ago. Last thing I did for them was to build out 3 units for them so they can derive some kind of income. No, stop. 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 You're rewarding dumb behavior. Stop. Yours and theirs. In total, paying their debts and building out units, I've spent $555K in the past 5 years. That is dumb as crap. I don't know what else I can do, but I have a feeling that my relationship will be extremely rocky with my wife and in-laws. Hey, man, this is what you get for not putting your foot down early and saying, I'm sorry, this is not my problem, and this is not going to work out. How could you possibly think it would have worked out? You're dumb. Quit being dumb. Eldest daughter describes them as pets. I see. Too many pets. Yeah. I love them, but they are like helpless pets, right? I protect my own mental health and physical health now. Yeah. Yeah. I'm starting to have health issues. I work nearly every day. You're not being mean to your in-laws. So if your relation is extremely rocky with your wife, you have other problems with her already. That doesn't have anything to do with this. So, and if she expects you to subsidize them like you're the government and they are like low income people, that's not going to happen. That is ridiculous of her. So you guys might need some counseling. Don't know. Maybe she won't ever forgive you. And like you said, it'll be rocky and maybe even end. Who knows? I work nearly every day of my life and have stomach issues. I told my wife that she should sell the estate, but she refuses. Hey man, my name is Paul, and that's between y'all. She doesn't have to. She doesn't have to. Let her handle it. Side note, my brother never got married. He lives in the house. It doesn't matter. He just plays video games and works like 2 hours a day, Monday to Friday. I tried to give him work at my business, but he had very poor work habits, and I just can't deal with that. I think he did it on purpose. Yeah, of course he did. See, you have to do a little thing called not be stupid. I'm okay with accepting that the house, the estate, might end up in foreclosure one day. Yeah, that's not any of your business. And you can tell your wife, none of my money is going to prevent that foreclosure. So hopefully you and your money are not affected at all by the foreclosure, by that, whatever happens with that estate. Hopefully it's not. Now, yes, when you get married, you're supposed to combine all of your income, but her, like, just immediately refusing to sell what is over, it's over. All that's over. The whole way they were doing things, all that's over. And she needs to admit it. And if she can't admit it, maybe she needs counseling, like I said. Edit words of wisdom, never give a man money. Yep, teach him how to fish. Exactly. Yeah. Treat him like a drug addict, right? Don't be an enabler. Signed fish. Singed, probably meant signed fisherman. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. You created the pets. You turned them into that by giving the money. Not advised. External high yield savings account as opposed to an internal one. Brief Wonder, 3825. What is his deal? I'm a business systems analyst by trade. I worked on my home, taking it from dumb to smart. I love automation. Okay. I currently have money parked in my Fidelity account. I'm looking to remove the cash to one of the following online banks: Pi Bank, Open Bank, or Genius Bank. I read this one before. FDI insured. I have no idea what's going on with those. Read all the fine print of anywhere you want to send the money. And again, just like I think that was the first question, how many hoops you jump through to get X number of dollars is up to you, whether the juice is worth the squeeze. I don't know if it is or not. But if it's too much of a problem, you don't do it the lower the squeeze amount is, or the lower the juice amount is, rather. Am I wrong for being mad about credit checks? I think I did that one as well. That's part of life. That's going to happen. You need to just accept that that's going to happen. You just tell people in advance, if you are on the Dave Ramsey method and got rid of credit cards, if you've done it, haven't had debt the entire time we've been married 2 years, maybe your credit is not completely, what is that called, indeterminable. That means if you don't interact with debt, eventually your credit score is not low, it's indeterminable. And so you tell anybody that's going to run it, you tell them in advance, and I haven't had a problem doing that. I've been able to rent cars, the whole nine. You can do whatever you want. You don't need a credit score in America. You do not need it. Now they spend about $1 billion, over $1 billion a year in advertising credit score. But that doesn't mean that you need it for anything. I have not had one for many, 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 many years, and I have had no problem renting apartments. Many, many. Probably over the last 12 years, maybe 6 of them, maybe, in 2 different states. No problem without a credit score. Chips Ahoy, 1968. I was born in 68. Yes, some old Financial advisors, what about them? Does Dave Ramsey say anything about using financial advisors, especially as you get ready to retire? Yeah, if you don't know anything about investing or finances in general, yes, you would do that. Let's see, the problem is my husband is hesitant on using him to put his old 401k with them because he does not trust him, but because he will take 1% annually to manage our money, roughly 25 to 30K. Okay, well, that should be only 1%, not of the entire holdings, but of the growth. So maybe it's not going to be 25 to 30K. So maybe you don't understand everything about finances either. And when you don't, then you need a teacher, and then you have to trust somebody. Would be my deal on that. I'm not sure I'm understanding that correctly exactly. So if you don't like if neither of you like the looks of the one guy, you find somebody else. Get somebody through the Ramsey website. Now, every once in a while, you will have some buttholes that get vetted by the Ramsey team and are fine at that point. But then once they start getting referrals, they go back and they don't teach people according to the Ramsey method, even if they know they're Ramsey referrals, because they're trying to make themselves more money. And that's not who you want advising you. 100%. Practical Lake 9685. After baby step 5, question about accounts and next steps. Okay, we're on baby step 6, but I have a question on accounts. We have the larger emergency fund. Okay, that would be the full emergency fund. That would be step 3, the step 3 fund. And you're on baby step 6, so you would have to have that. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't be on baby step 6. With a larger emergency fund and a different savings account for sinking funds. Once all funds are funded, mortgage pay, what do you do with the extra cash? High yield savings account, investments. Hey, that's the beauty of being on step 7 and they're on step 6, which is pay that freaking mortgage off. And so once you get that done, you can do whatever you like with the extra cash. Like that is currently going to pay off the mortgage. You're supposed to put all extra on the mortgage. You are supposed to be investing 15% of gross salary to retirement while you're doing that, though. But other than that, yeah, it all extra goes to pay off the mortgage, so you can be in step 7. And step 7, of course, as it says right here, if I can find it, there it is. Step 7, build wealth and give. And part of building wealth is putting that extra cash in a high yield savings account or investing it in the market. And you can invest however much you want. You invest only 15% and only into retirement until you get into step 7. Roth on January 1st from Brad 123XXX. Are y'all gonna max out the Roth on January 1st? You wouldn't do that unless you're on step 7. That's the only time you would do, and you got tons and tons of cash flow, etc., that you would be able to do that. Otherwise, you would still be taking care of these numbers and just doing your retirement investing out of every paycheck. In 2025, did it throughout the year. I'm in a position now, though, where I can do it on Friday. Should I? Thank you all. And so again, the problem would be if the person is not on step 7. If he's still got a mortgage, you should not do it on Friday. Why do you have that much savings? You should not be having that much saving to then invest. You should not be investing more than 15% of your gross income. And that only investment should only be in retirement. You don't do other investments until your house is completely paid off. So Brad probably doing it wrong, but maybe not. If you're on step 7, yes, you can do that if you would like. You can max out immediatamente. And then you would have money throughout the year that you could put just in a brokerage account then. Or maybe max out an HSA as well. Health savings account. Medium bullfrog. Jeremiah was a medium bullfrog. He was a good friend of mine. Should I give myself permission to go from 4 jobs to 3 during baby step 2? I mean, if it's running you ragged, if you're not getting any sleep, I would say that it's fine for you to get 8 hours of sleep. And if that's going to mean if that means you don't get 8 hours of sleep, and it means you will if you go down to 3, I would be fine with that. So it all depends on that. Also might depend on however, if you have just a ton of debt, then maybe you stick it out a little bit longer. But I wouldn't have any problem with that. 3 jobs would seem like it was fine. Some people won't even get a second job on step 2. So that's the dealio on that. Scott 5002. Need help clearing my overdraft, and this is in the bloody UK, mate. No, that mate is. No, they say mate in the UK. Anyway, hi, what's the best way to clear my overdraft? Looking for. So hi, okay. So how you pay off anything? It's not rocket science or rocket surgery. Mr. Ramsey has said combining rocket science and brain surgery, and you just say rocket surgery. It's not. You do that, you pay off anything, or you save for anything by not spending the money on anything else. It's not difficult. Also, you can work more. Let's see. Overdraft. So, first of all, hey, pay enough attention to not overdraft as well. So do that too. 20 years old, an apprenticeship, first year. The overdraft is 1,100 British pounds, love. I make 1,200 outgoings monthly. Oh, I make 1,200 British pounds. Why would you? 1,200 is a month, or that's twice a month? See, not very clear, but regardless, don't overdraft. Why did you overdraft? Road tax, don't pay insurance due to company vehicle. Fabulous. Rent, 200. That's not bad. Share an apartment with friends or something. Phone 50, food, you can go to Met Mobile instead, or some discount carrier. Food 200. You can probably cut that down a little bit from that. Electric 50. Okay. Started this job. Half or a quarter, 1/4 portion of electric should not be costing $50, 50 British pounds, unless electric is way more expensive over there than it is here. And of course, why wouldn't it be? I don't know if it is or not. Started this job debt free, lived the life I couldn't afford. That was you being a dumbass. That was you being dumb. Knowing this is making me want to sort it all out. Yeah. The stress of no savings, etc., is getting to me. Yeah. You didn't know that was going to happen. You're dumb. Of course, I did dumb stuff like that too, so that's why I can call you dumb. I know I'm in a position where my wages will increase, and I'm young enough to sort this little mess out. It's not little. It could easily, if you keep doing dumb crap like that, it could keep doing that. Thank you for any advice and comments. Again, you do not spend money on anything else. You cut your budget to the bone. If you can cut this amount down, and here's what you do. Guess what? You don't spend money on anything except things that are 100% essential to live. So, there's no movies, there's no eating out, etc., 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 etc. Hump my dumpy 1911. Alrighty. Paid off 28K off my auto loan, officially debt free, but don't feel any different. Well, you should if you're debt free. That's a you problem. If you don't feel any different, maybe it's not that important to you. I was super excited to finally pay off my Jeep back in April 2025. I had a nervous breakdown and suicidal tendencies, which landed me in the mental hospital. Maybe because you had a bigger problem than being in debt. Maybe I was in a very bad relationship with a girl. Girls, man, you know what I'm saying? And she didn't treat me that well. Okay, and that can put a toll on you as well. So it might be, I can totally understand. It might be because you had worse problems than being in debt. Unfortunately, that's a bad one. But now I'm out of it, and after I got out of the hospital, I made a promise to myself that I would start tackling my debt aggress. Great. December 31st, 2025. Again, this from 2 months ago. I haven't been streaming that much, so it's piled up kind of, and I don't want to lose any questions, so I start from the bottom. Jeep is completely paid off, but honestly, to be honest, I felt more alive and excited when I'm actually making extra payments on it versus actually being debt free. That happens with people, and it might also be with your character. In a bad relationship with a girl that didn't treat you well, you had a nervous breakdown and suicidal tendencies, so you may have an adrenaline problem as well. Whereas you would like to have the adrenaline more than you would like to have no reason to have the adrenaline. So that's nutty. So I would say you need counseling. And theoretically, you would have already had it if you had a nervous breakdown and suicidal tendencies. Landed you in a mental hospital, but hopefully that's continuing counseling, hopefully. I don't know if it's really hit me yet. Either, no, it's probably exactly what I said. Either way, it's one less thing to worry about. Plan on increasing my retirement savings. Great, yeah, just act like there's nothing wrong, except for getting counseling about it if you need it. But continue following the Ramsey advice regardless, because eventually that'll catch up with you, I would think, and you would much rather have been following the Ramsey advice and not being excited about it than not following the Ramsey advice and being excited about doing dumb stuff instead. Advice getting through these steps. You just have to realize that it's more important to make your finances better than it is to do some dumb stuff you would be doing if you weren't getting through the steps. This is Neat Inevitable 8526. Almost have my student loans paid off. Excellent. We'll be debt free soon. Great. No consumer or car debt. Fabulous. But I'm wondering about the next step afterwards. Well, let's see. Student loans is it. So that's step 2 debt. So then you do step 3. You have the full emergency fund. I'm already contributing 15% of my income in a tax-free annuity in my public sector job. Okay, first of all, you don't do retirement. That's step 4. You're in step 2. Why are people stupid? Why are people stupid? Why are people stupid? You're doing it wrong. Okay, understand about this is different than people just getting into debt. And I did that too. But I didn't read this freaking list and then think, oh, you must do all of these at the same time. Certainly we invest at the same time as we're paying off debt. No, we don't. Quit being stupid. Also, Mr. Ramsey does not like annuities. No annuities. Quit being stupid. The market makes much more than that. But you're not on step 4 anyway, so there's no investing. You only pay off the debt until the debt's paid off in step 2. Stop being dumb. But only make around 100K, which is nowhere near close to being able to afford a home in my area. New York. Hey, guess what? You might have to move somewhere better or make more money if you want to stay in New York and have a house in New York. Once you get to step 6, I feel like it's kind of okay. Then what situation? If home ownership is not possible, it is possible, just not with the parameters you set, like being limited to an 80K job and living in New York. Got a great idea. come to Ohio and make that 80K, and then you can afford a home in there, or take it over 100K so you can get one in New York. That is up to you, my friend. Quit being stupid. That's the main idea here, is to quit being stupid. Maybe I should call that show that. Quit being stupid with Coach Steve Money. Sysadmin 321. How to deal with friend who likes to brag about money. Is the friend worth it? At that point. It's to the point we're ready to cut ties with him. Fine, do it. What is that? Cut ties with all the lies that you've been living in. That's from the 1900s, kids. I think 90s. I think. I'm at a loss what to do with this friend. It's to the point I'm ready to cut ties with him. Every single year, like clockwork, I have to hear how he's getting his big annual stock bonus and regular bonus. He tells specific, I would just, since he says it every year, I would just say, that's great, babe. Anyway, that's great, man. Give him, pound, give him the pound, give him the high five, whatever, and then it's done. They tell a specific amount, that's fine. We'll flat out say stuff like, my salary is good, but it's a bonus of 30K. It's like option for 40K per year that are so huge. That's great. That's great. And other stuff like that. Yes, he says this stuff in what would be considered a braggy way. Okay, he knows my wife and I don't get those time. Okay, well, I also wouldn't take it as a diss to myself and my salary and my bonus or non-bonus. I couldn't take it any longer this year and dropped a bomb on him. Dropped a bomb on me. Or yeah, you just say, I don't want to hear about your, I'm happy for you, but I don't need to hear about your money situation anymore. Appreciate it, but don't talk about it if you still want to be friends. And if he doesn't like it, that's fine. After he said, what should I do with my extra money? I don't need any more, just sitting in the bank doing nothing. You got mad because he's not having money problems, and you are. See, this is you. You're the one with the problem, not him. And it's just nice. He said, maybe invest some in the S&P 500. That is not what you're supposed to do in the 401k. So you're doing it wrong yourself. Quit you being stupid, and you follow the Ramsey advice too. And we now have about 1 million combined saved. Okay, that's great. S&P 500 index, better than nothing, but it could have been way more than that. Quit being dumb. There's plenty of managed funds that make more than the S&P 500. Anyway, he stopped for a few seconds to process and said, wow, that is crazy. We are all 40. This is after he bragged once again about money and says he has 300K saved in his 401k, and you have more than him. So what are you, why are you, if you are challenged by that, or you think that's a diss on you, it's not, because you have more in retirement than he does. So you win that round. So what, it's not a competition anyway. I personally just don't feel comfortable talking about money this way. Then you just say that instead of any other dumb crap you were saying. I hate that I ever said something back to him. Yeah, you were dumb and you shouldn't need to. No, you shouldn't. It's always been taboo, in my opinion, to talk about money specifics with friends. Not for him, it's not. He can have his own rules. Quit being dumb about it. If you don't want to be friends with him, you don't have to be friends with him anymore. But guess what? The world is not going to bow to your opinion that it's taboo to talk about money specifics with friends and family. Nobody cares about your little opinion on that. Okay? So he gets to do what he wants to do. What you can decide if you're going to continue to be friends with him, or what parameters you want to do that, set on it, and you can tell him what those parameters are, and he can either abide by them or not. Okay? So your opinion about it doesn't matter to the world at large, or even maybe to your friend. If he wants to keep you as a friend, maybe it will matter to him. But to me, I don't care about it. And anybody thinking their opinion means so much more than anybody else's is dumb. Now, I'm not talking about the Ramsey advice for that, because that's a proven thing. millions of documented success stories from following that advice. So I think that's pretty good to give advice. But I don't force that on friends. I got plenty of friends that are in debt. I just don't talk to them about money anymore. And it seems to be fine. I'm trying to think, did I have to drop any friends just because of the money? No. Just because of the money things? No. Mm-mm. Only on Tuesdays, 289, there was a band called Till Tuesday in the 80s. What to do with 10K commission after tax? Okay, and this is why the Ramsey advice is so wonderful, because it's the same for everybody. Your little situation of this extra money being commission doesn't matter. Okay, so any extra money comes in from any source at all, you apply that to whatever baby step you're on. It's simple as that. Just because it's a large amount doesn't mean you throw it to a larger debt or that you put it on the house. No, if you're on step 2, you apply it to step 2 as far as it will go. Hopefully it takes you completely out of step 2. Let's see where he is. Perhaps he will say, or she will say, where they are. We did incremental 10K after tax payment in January or February. Options: add to IRA, add to 529 plans, pay down HELOC. HELOC is step 2. You're doing that, you idiot. People are so dumb. How can they read this list? And really, why would you be on the Dave Ramsey subreddit if you weren't familiar with the baby steps? That's idiotic. How did you get here if you didn't do that? I mean, I get that people are new. Fine, you're new. You need to not be so lackadaisical about it, and you need to dive more into the Ramsey advice so you know this stuff, so you don't keep being a dumbass. You're being dumb right now. You should have never taken out the HELOC. Hopefully, since you heard about Dave Ramsey, you didn't take out that HELOC. If you did, you're a dumbass. You should not have an full emergency fund because you have a HELOC. That would go to there. You would only have $1,000 in your emergency fund as a starter emergency fund while you're still paying off step 2 debt, which is the freaking HELOC. Quit being dumb. Lump sum pension, yes. Pensions suck. They do not bring in as much as the market. So if you can at all not do that at your job, don't do it. Do a 401k instead. But why does Dave recommend taking a lump sum option at retirement? I guess that means RET, retirement. Because then you can invest it and make more money with it than leaving it in the freaking pension, you idiot. Military, thank you for your service, but you're being an idiot right now. Hopefully you're not out on the battlefield being an idiot. But with this money stuff, you're being an idiot. And you're, again, not diving into the Ramsey stuff. All you got to do is, hey, why does Dave recommend taking a lump sum option at retirement? You could put that in the Google, or I bet you could do a YouTube search on that, and it would show you a clip of him explaining it himself. Quit being stupid, people. Gosh. I have the option of taking lump sum, 450 to 500K before taxes, but then my monthly pension, it doesn't matter what your monthly pension would be, because then you would make more on that in the market, you idiot. Again, I'll be 40, 42. So that's technically 50% monthly gone for it. No, it's not. You're an idiot. You're not thinking about, are you thinking about just spending it? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. People are dumb. Thank you for your service anyway, though. Athlete number 971. I hope you wise up. Hope somebody in the comments told you how dumb you were and told you your mistake. Writing this post in the McDonald's parking lot. Hey, Ramsey Tribe, me, female, 27, husband, man, 28, daughter, 2.5, infant. And son, 9 months, really infantile, are in baby step 2. Okay, I wouldn't go so far as to call your daughter and your son in the baby step. I mean, maybe you went into debt for some of the stuff you bought for them, but that wasn't their fault. So they don't get to be called in baby step 2. Hopefully they can avoid baby step 2 altogether. I, the nerd, of course, started this journey when my daughter was born. My husband just got on board about a month ago. Better late than never. We are a low income family, 34K last year, single income, dad working as a painter, 42K this year. Excellent. Dad working as a school bus driver, mom is a part time waitress, but we are kicking it into overdrive to finish this thing off. Great. We started at about 50K in debt 2.5 years ago, and through side hustles and penny pinching. Penny, penny, penny. That's from Big Bang Theory, because she did put a capital there. On accident, as the kids say. It's by accident, by the way. On accident is not a thing, except that incorrect people say. We are down to about 22K left. Great. 6.4K personal loan, the rest student loans. I'm running this post in the McDonald's parking lot, about to go inside for my first shift. I'm now full-time overnight grill cook at McDonald's for the sake of baby step 2. The real kicker, we use no childcare. My husband also got a second job at McDonald's. Wow. So he will be working 5:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the school bus, working at McDonald's in between, going back from 1 p.m. to 5:30 for his evening bus run. 1 p.m. to 5:30 seems like a lot, but maybe they have you sitting around there for a while just to make sure you're on time to take the kids home. Let's see, or that's a lot of area you need to cover for 4.5 hours. Then I'm working from 8 to you guys have the schedule worked out, it would appear, because I'm sure that there aren't kids not being looked after during that time, so you figured it out. And you're opposite enough each other, and hopefully you get enough sleep as well. My days off, he's doing my overnight shift at McDonald's as well. So fabulous. I'm not excited for lack of sleep, yeah, but I'm excited for our new debt payoff date, June 2026. Excellent. And that is, it's going to be what? Tomorrow is the no, tomorrow's the 28th tomorrow. So March, so only 3 months. March, April, May, and June. 3 or 4 months. Cool. They're getting it done. And again, they're probably paying that stuff off by not spending that money on anything else. It's not difficult. And this person deleted the name, deleted the account. Year in returns, check my annual returns tonight. Got 18% returns on all my retirement accounts. Since inception of these accounts, going back to like 2019, is still just under 10%, but hell of a year. Everything the last 2 years, the indexes even made like almost 20%, didn't they? Over the last 2 years, maybe not like the last 3 or 4 months, but like calendar year 2024 and 2025, didn't they make? I think they did. Let's check. And so if you didn't make at least the index, you don't have great investments, although it seems like what you have now was good. Let's see, S&P 500 in the last year was 17. Oh yeah, I can't do that on this because it doesn't let you do like the last 2 years. Oh, the last 5 years was 80, so that is 30 divided by 5. I don't know, you do the math there for that, but that is, but I think was it 23 and 24 then? 2023 and 2024 that it did about 20% both years? Or was that the NASDAQ? It did that. Let's see. Yeah, 2022, 22.24, and this is a freaking index fund, and this did make 22. So maybe you were heavily weighted in tech stocks or something like that, maybe. Where is it? Oh, 18%. So again, you're not making as good. Hell of a year. Baby step 6 player. And maybe that's why he deleted the account, because he got a lesson in the market and was bragging about stuff that is under what the average, what the index made. And if you get a managed fund, that's good. You can beat the index as well. So maybe that's why he got mad, because people were saying, yeah, you're doing it wrong. You're understanding it wrong. And FG Bleachy, having trouble starting the baby steps. I've been listening to Dave for a while now, and I finally decided to change my family tree. Great. Having trouble getting my wife on board with the plan. That is the hardest thing to do a lot of times. What you have to do, you might have to do, is you do the 3 C's. It's communicate, compromise, compromise, halfway happy. We learned that from Stranger Things. And if you can't do either of those things, communicate or compromise, you need counseling. The 3rd C. So you might have a compromise with her, which means you might not be following the baby steps exactly, but and if you change it, it's going to take longer to do. But it's going to take even longer to do if she's not on board at all. So, you know, you have to give grace for that. You have to do that. If you want to stay married, you do have to be willing to accept compromise, even when, yes, she should be following it exactly, but like if she wants to change something, and here's my problem here. Like my pal Sid always says she's fine with somebody having $2,000 as step 1 instead of 1,000, if that'll get them on board and start doing it. But my problem is, if they change that, then they're going to change something about step 2 and change something about step 3, and they're going to go start investing early as well. And so pretty soon you're not doing the baby steps at all. You're doing it your dumbass way. And so that's my problem with that. But as far as when it comes to something that husband and wife can agree on, that needs to supersede the Ramsey advice. Let's see, we had a talk about following the baby steps, and she agreed to try, but when it comes to paying off debt and going smallest to largest, smallest debt is a credit card that is in her name, and I believe it to be our debt. Okay? Supposed to pay it off in December, but she is spending on it because she wants a better credit score. Okay, you got to talk about that. You got to tell her she doesn't need a credit score for anything except borrowing money, and we're not borrowing money for anything. The only thing you would possibly need to borrow money for would be to buy a house, and you do not need a credit score to buy a house either. So she needs to understand that. A lot of people just don't understand that. They really don't. They really think you have to have a credit score to be able to do anything, even rent a car. You do not. I've rented 2 cars in the last 6 months. Guess what? Enterprise. Told them I didn't have a credit score. No problem. Does anyone have any tips or suggestions on how I can help her understand how a credit score is a sign of success? Just tell her that. Is it reasonable to start working the plan and with the money I earn to lead by example? I would try to work it out with her rather than going around her. Going around her isn't going to work. Also, as we learned from Han Solo in The Force Awakens, women always figure out the truth. Fearless put 1968. That's because Finn said he was resistance. And he wasn't. Advice for young married couple in early 20s. Still babies. You got forever. And please, I implore you to not be stupid like I was in my 20s and even some of my 30s. If you stop being dumb in your early 20s, and maybe you're not, so maybe you don't start being dumb at that point. but you will be so much better off than most people. Question, any advice on how to start paying off our student loans? Yes. I'm glad you asked that because it's the same answer as always. It is to not spend money on anything else except things that are 100% necessary to live. I know what Dave would do. Well, then you do that too. He would say not to take out this much student loans, right, until we can pay for it in cash, but I disagree. Okay, well, disagree and do it your own way then. Okay. So it sounds like you're going to keep, what do you want? It sounds like you're going to keep taking out debt for student loans until you're done with college. And so the part of baby step 0 is you decide you're going to pay off your dumbass debt and you do not take out any more ever again, except maybe for a mortgage. So that's part of baby step 0. So, whatever you're going to do doesn't matter then. And it says, what would Dave do? Why did you put the freaking what would Dave do flare if you already know what he would do and you're not going to do it? You disagree. Quit being a dumbass. You're being dumbasses. Maybe both of you. I don't know. Maybe at least one of you, whoever wrote the question. You're being a dumbass. 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 You don't do debt leverage either. They're leveraging alone, they're leveraging being debt free, actually, or not being debt free, into getting that education, and that's a no. You disagree then. Why are you asking a question in his subreddit? It's, it's not run by him, but he is the name on the subreddit. So why wouldn't you why would you be coming here asking for different advice? Now, granted, you do have haters on here. You do have people that disagree with him on here and might not be, technically haters. But, some people in the comments will give you the wrong advice, the non-Dave advice, and they will, say, oh, whatever you want to do is fine. You can do that. You'll be fine. Mr. Ramsey wants you to be more than just fine. So, and that's what his advice does, makes you more than just fine. Little alarmed. I read that before. My house likely need a roof in the next 5 or so years, give or take. I think that's BS. I did this one before. They change positions sometimes. So that's why I've done some of these and haven't done some of these. But I have done that one. You do not know if it's going to need 5 or so years, if it's going to need one. Just because it's coming up on the date when most new roofs need to be replaced, maybe, or roofs need to be replaced, maybe. You don't know. Should we just do it now and avoid inflation? You're dumb. That is so dumb. This is the same thing. A question about buying a car. Should I buy a car now since it'll be cheaper than later? No. Quit being a dumbass. Every dollar budget, download that. I'm not sure if I pay for premium. Are there ever deals to get it less than $79.99? I don't know about that. I don't know if it is. I tried Every Dollar app. I didn't like it. It didn't do what I wanted it to do. What I wanted it to do was what I had happening in my Google Sheet, and so I went back to Google Sheet, and that's free. So I'm sure Every Dollar budget is fine. It has helped, I'm sure, millions of people on their baby steps journey. So I'm sure I didn't like it. So, I mean, I know they've had like sales on it previously, or like included it with Financial Peace University, I think sometimes, I don't think always, but so you could check into that. Gloomy Speaker 1999, gonna party like it's 1999. And that was, of course, from the 90s, kids, from the 1900s. Debt free at 25. Follow up from this post. I just went ahead. I'm gonna have to go ahead and pay off your student loans. I figured if I do decide to buy a house in the next year, I'd rather not have a mortgage on top of loans. Right, and that's the advice anyway. So I don't remember a question by this person, but apparently they posted this previously on the Dave Ramsey subreddit. But yeah, You do not save up a down payment. You do not buy a house if you still have student loan, is because that's step two. And you must not only have step two done before you buy a house, before you even start saving for the down payment, you have to also have your full emergency fund. So that means you have step two done, and then you move to step three, and you have step three done as well before you start doing that. So I'm glad you did that. And so you're debt free now. Great. Now the only thing you need to concentrate on now is saving the down payment then. And it's up to you. You can invest at the same time. You don't have to invest the whole 15%. You don't have to invest anything for up to 3 years. Mr. Ramsey's fine with you taking 3 years off to save a larger down payment faster, and he's fine with you doing that. 401k officially turned off. What? My biz crashed income-wise and didn't react quickly enough in 2024. Made some bad decisions. Acquired business debt while in baby step 7. You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You know you're not supposed to do any business debt. You know that. Vacuna 00. 20. We're in good shape overall, but pretty bummed and humbled to do this. What do you mean you're humbled? Humbled, I do not think that means what you think it means. Bummed, yes, that means you're not happy about it. Humbled is different than what you think. I've already been living on bare bones spending and working extra for most of 2025. Great. I was really hoping to be ish and continue my 401k, but progress was too slow, so it's cut off as of today. Right. Don't be ish. Do it the right way. The steps are like this for a reason. You think it's just to do things that you don't want to do? It's not. It's because this way gets your finances in shape the fastest. You being ish makes it happen slower. Quit being dumb. I cut my salary to a minimum, and 401k is 0 for me and my wife. I don't think I will recover in time to fund any for 2026, but hopefully I can resume sometime early in 2027. Don't know why I'm posting, just grief posting, I suppose. Good luck to anyone else who's following this stuff. Yeah, follow them. And see, this is what would be great. Just follow the advice overall and don't get some freaking business debt, you idiot. Idiot. Hate it. GLC Escape. Is that a vehicle? Ha! I know it's not. Terrible. It sounds like one. What was a Ford had an Escape, didn't they? Terrible mistake. Oh, lots of money to my parents. Yeah, that was a terrible mistake. You're 44, female in Maryland with 2 kids. Be kind. I'm new here. No. Well, I guess since you're new to the advice. Recently wrote about the baby steps after burying my head in the sand for years. My husband begging me to read it, and despite earning a decent wage, my life is a bit of a mess. I'm reading them home. Yeah. You know how you found out about the, well, I don't know. If your husband already knew about it, guess what? He already Googled Dave a long time, or Googled get out of debt a long time ago, and you were too busy burying your head in the sand, so that's why you only are up with it now. So I got a great idea. If he's been begging you to read it, ask him questions about it. Used to own a house, but I had to sell it because of my own mess. Yeah. And I keep doing that. It's all your fault. All your fault. Keep doing that. Keep admitting that to yourself and just say, I'm not going to do anything anymore to mess up my finances. Because of my own lost all the money that was deposit/equity. Okay, wow. Does that mean you just had to pay off debt with some of it, or you didn't even get any back? You just, by selling it, you just didn't have to make the payment anymore. And that could be if you only bought it a short time ago, and that was stupid too. You should not have bought it, obviously. 1K in emergency fund now, 5K in consumer debt, credit card, but I was feeling smug about possibly becoming financially secure over the next few years, following the baby steps. Okay, good. I wouldn't go as far as to get smug, though. Why get smug? You need to be intense until you make it happen. Today, while on a walk, my dad asked him how much money I owe him. He blurted out about 60,000 British pounds, low. Yeah, I mean, I was really, what, you didn't know that? See, that is your problem. The fact that you don't know how much money you owe your parents means how much your head was buried in the sand. That was dumb. He helped me buy a house years ago, and my understanding at the time was this was a gift. He also bought me a car for 19,000 British pounds a couple of years ago. Apparently, that was also a loan, not a gift, despite him saying it was a gift at the time. Okay, well, I mean, you can argue with him if you want. You can say, you said that was a loan, but maybe he made bad decisions with money too, and now he's turned, or a gift, and now he's turned the gift into a loan, maybe, because he needs that money from me. I've also over the years needed bailing out for emergencies a lot. Yes, stop that crap. This is all your fault. What a fool I am. Yep. I don't think they're going to turn around and say, give us the money. I would count on paying them back with it. I know they have gifted money to my sibling to buy a house as well, so I'm not sure why this gift is now considered a debt, but that's on me. Well, you can ask. No harm in asking. And then in my business, I think to set this rice, I have to sort it. Yep. They like to say sort it instead of like, fix it. Fix it, figure it out, etc., etc. They say sort in the bloody UK. I feel sick that in his head I owe him. That's Australian. I think no. I owe him 60k. Dave was right that you are the slave to whoever lends you money. The goalposts can change at any time. Also, it's all on me. I chose this. There you go. Yeah, that's all you got to do. And so it really doesn't matter what the other person thinks at all. So the debt I have now is 60k, mom and dad, 3.3k overdrafts, 500k Klarna. Don't do that. Buy over time stuff. That is still debt. Don't be stupid. Especially the kids today. They love the Klarna. $600 furniture repayments. You know what you do? You don't buy furniture. I mean, maybe like a bed would be the only thing you would go to the emergency fund for. But any other furniture you make do without until you have the cash to buy it. 750 tax. That should go to the first probably. Oh no, that's furniture repayments, I think, and then the HMRC is that the government debt. 2000. Anyway, approximately to my in-laws, I need to check. Oh, to your in-laws as well. So, is there anybody you didn't borrow money from? What do I do? I'm lucky to have a job where if I pick up extra shifts, I can pay all this down. Any and all advice appreciated. Just like everybody else, your little situation doesn't matter. It doesn't matter one little bit. You're in this situation now. You need to pay all that back. And how you do that is by not spending money on anything else. Most people won't do that. Oh, what time is it? 10:44. What time did I start this? 9 something, right? Let's just do one more. Sincerest fall. My wife is losing her job at the end of the month, and we are thinking, don't do that, through a few different scenarios. All right. Oh, it's not long at all. I didn't even have to open it in a new tab. We have known for a while she's losing her job. Okay. She has another one lined up ready. Okay, great. Her last day is a Thursday, and she would literally start the next one on Monday. Okay. So that is a blessing. Great. So what's the problem? Another blessing is she will continue to receive her paycheck from previous job for 3 months as part of severance package. Fabulous. Downside is her next job is a decent pay cut for the first year while she gets certifications. Then will probably be better. Well, she can work 2 jobs then, maybe. Our back and forth is, should we use her severance to pay off debt or stack it to help fill in the gap of her income? No, because if you help it fill in the gap in her income, you're going to continue to live the higher lifestyle probably. So you don't do that. You do send it to debt. You cut your lifestyle to the bone and you get used to living like that until she makes more money and you're out of debt and all that. Till you're out of debt and you have the full emergency fund, you keep that budget cut to the bone, only essentials. And that is how you get ahead financially, instead of being dumb and buying things that aren't necessary, and then you make it take longer to do all that stuff. So next one will be next steps advice. A lot of people don't understand there is a step here, and it is in this order. Now it's not do them all at the same time. It's not do them all one at a time either. It is for steps 1, 2, and 3. You do those one at a time in order. You do not move ahead until you are done with the previous one. You do step 1, you finish step 1, then you go to step 2. You do step 2, you finish step 2, then you go to step 3. Okay? Then after that, you do steps 4, 5, and 6 all at the same time. And then step 7 is last after you are done with paying off your mortgage. Investing into retirement happens until you retire. Save for kid college, that can be the amount you want to give. Now again, 4, 5, and 6 all at the same time. If it applies, if you don't have any kids, you can skip step 5. Exception would be if you want to buy a house, start saving for the emergency fund is baby step 3B. It's not in this list, but that's where it goes. And so that's the steps. So I'll still look at that and see exactly where they're confused, and then they'll wonder why they're confused because it says so right in the list right here. And you, again, you know, I love to be condescending. Your little situation doesn't affect the Ramsey advice. Pay off house or buy cars. If you don't need a car, you don't need to buy one. Okay, so paying off the house, you do need a house and you need to pay that off early. But that doesn't mean buy cars you want to when you don't need cars instead of paying off the house. That's so dumbass. I will read that to make sure that's actually what's going on, but I think that is. Budget line items question. Some people like to do everything as their own budget line item. You can combine a bunch of things as well. Like I combine like toiletries and cleaning supplies and stuff like that with grocery because I buy them from the same place, Walmart. If you receive a lump sum, would you pay off a larger debt or stick with the snowball? You stick with the snowball. You do not change the order ever. Quit being dumb. Actually, you do change it in one instance. That would be when you owe money to the IRS. You put them at the front of the list. Baby step 2 tax question. Specific. How would Dave see the reasoning behind maxing out a 401k during baby step 2? He wouldn't. You do not do that. Quit being dumb. You do not try to save money on taxes by investing money, you idiot. On baby step 2, you're an idiot. Quit doing it. Food ideas. Cheap meal prep ideas. That might have some interesting things. Maybe we'll look through those comments. House almost paid off, but no, but. Oh, for many years I ignored my student loans. You shouldn't even have a mortgage at this point. You're doing it wrong. You're dumb as crap. Is Dave Ramsey on the USA or Canada too? No, he doesn't have any ELPs or people that he recommends in Canada. No. Other countries don't like him because they have a little thing called Financial Peace University. That is their course, and they don't like it being called a university. Invest or pay down mortgage or sell. Well, you would only invest 15% into retirement only. You don't do other investing. You don't do 1 cent above 15% of your gross income into retirement alone even. You don't do that. You're dumb. Or sell. If you're moving, you do not keep the house to be a landlord just because you're moving. You're dumb. I think I read that one before. How many people actually got 15-year mortgage? It doesn't matter, but that is the advice. If you have to get a 30-year mortgage to afford the payments, that's too much house for you. You're becoming house poor. Congratulations. How much to invest? Oh, look, it says right here, 15% of your gross income into retirement. That's all you should be doing until your house is paid off. Once you get into step 7, you can invest as much as you want. You're welcome. But until then, no, quit being stupid. Raised to finish. All right, let's see what that's all about. 50K in debt when I graduated. Thinking about upgrading my. No, shut up. Stop thinking about getting into more debt while you go to college. Stop it. You don't have to go into more debt to finish college. You can figure out other ways. Grants, scholarships, working more, taking a year off in between. That's all better than taking out more student loans, you idiot. And while you're thinking about taking out student loans, you don't upgrade your freaking vehicle. You're an idiot. And deleted. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad you didn't like the advice. But that was the exact stuff that you should do. The stuff that made you mad. Quit being mad, little babies. Being mad about stuff. Dumb. Just do whatever dumb crap you want to do. Don't ask then. If you only want to hear one piece of advice or you want somebody to agree with you, don't post. Then you won't have to delete your account. Does it seem like a realistic timeline to pay off my debt? Do it as fast as you can. Don't worry about it being realistic. Quit being dumb. Quit being dumb. Don't, be realistic too when you set a timeline. Obviously, you make $1,000, just say you make $1,000 a month at $12,000 a year. Say that $12,000 is the extra amount you can put to debt, then you can't do $15,000 to debt a year if you only have 12 additionally, unless you get more jobs and stuff like that. So don't be stupid. Again, you're being stupid that way too. Anyone get to baby step 7 by doing steps out of order? I'm sure they did, but it took them longer to do it that way, which is why it's in this order. Quit being dumb. Should I trust my bank? Generally, if it's FDIC insured, generally. And you're not borrowing money from them anyway, so you don't need to trust them as far as that. As far as keeping your money in it safe, I would say most banks are probably fine as long as they're FDIC insured. And this person dumb too, deleted the account, got too much flack. Fund money in baby step 2, that should be a bare minimum at the risk of getting roasted in front. Yep, that should be at a bare minimum, but we'll see when we read the actual question how much that person is thinking that they should be having. And I will tell them it should be less than that, I'm sure. Almost sure, not necessarily. Alrighty, once again, Coach Steve Money, Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach, and you can schedule a free consultation with me at this email address right here. It's right there, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. It's also right above my head over here, and we can make that appointment happen. And it's a free consultation / assessment of your financial situation. Donations can go to paypal.me/coachstevemoney. Alternatively to, CashApp, $CoachSteveMoney. It was not taken, so I took it. Or a Walmart gift card to coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Alrighty, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully, like I said, I'll plan on trying to do more financial streams again. It's been a real pain. A lot of different things happened at the same time. I'm still fine. I'm great. One thing was the transmission in the 2005 Suzuki Verona went out, and instead of fix it, I got another car. Again, $3,500. Yes, you can find them. Quit being dumb. Quit being lazy. You can find a cheap used car if you need one. But yeah, I'm pretty good. Can't complain, but sometimes I still do. But just been really busy. and work stuff too, extra working and so forth. Alrighty. As always, make smart financial decisions every day.